That's a really good question. I would probably say, and this one is super timely, potentially some recency bias, but I have to say that Gap's campaign with It's Better in Denim featuring the global girl group Cat's Eye, I feel like they knocked that one out of the park. I actually just recently became aware of who Cat's Eye is, to be quite honest, just because of this campaign. But for those of you all who don't know, they're a K-pop style group that was founded by Hybe Media. And so Hybe actually is the K-pop engine that founded BTS. And so they definitely got a really cool backing behind them. And so I'll break it down into like a few points in terms of why I thought this was a really good campaign. I think number one is the nostalgia effect to it. I literally like stopped in my tracks once I started to hear Milkshake from Khalees because it was such a throwback for my own like coming of age that I just thought like, wow, like this was such a really good use of this soundtrack. And then on top of that, I love the fact that not only was Gap trying to sort of reach a millennial audience by utilizing some nostalgia, but you can also tell obviously that their core demographic that they're also trying to reach to here is a much younger audience by tapping into the brilliance of K-pop, right? Like it is having a moment right now. It's reaching a much younger, really engaged demographic. And for Gap being a very sort of legacy brand, I thought that this was such a smart move on their part to be able to sort of align themselves with, this movement of K-pop. The other piece too that I would say that I thought they did brilliantly was, again, I never knew who Cat's Eye was until I saw this spot. And that's because they've partnered with them just before they have really reached their pinnacle. Like they're still like an up and coming new band. Not many people know about them. And so I think this gives Gap the opportunity to be able to sort of get ahead of the curve, be able to sort of really set the trend and not be a follower in that sense, to align themselves with the group that has a lot of star power and potential, but isn't quite up there yet. And so I think that there's definitely a longevity there in terms of the partnership. And I thought that was a really smart move. The other piece that I really thought was top notch was the way in which they were able to showcase the product. Having it sort of be this high energy dance video that really sort of showcases really the key attributes of what their product does. It's the fit, it's the movement, it's the durability. I felt like they did such a great job of showcasing that and really making sure that the product shined and that the use of the talent didn't overshadow the magic of the product. And so I felt like they really like checked off all the major boxes for me. And it could be recency bias on my part, but honestly, I think this is probably one of the best campaigns that I've seen in a while this year. That's a really good question. And I would say a good campaign successfully achieves its stated goals. It's a campaign that hits its metrics, impressions, reach, clicks, and meets its objectives. An award winning campaign, in my opinion, is one that really transcends the brief and makes a really lasting impact on the audience and really goes above and beyond in delivering more than just the business objective, but really becomes part of the cultural zeitgeist. And so the way that I look at it is in sort of a few ways. One, again, the idea of this being part of culture. So it just doesn't react to what's happening in culture, but it really helps to sort of shape it. And the campaign itself is able to generate buzz on its own. It's able to start a new conversation and it becomes something that truly resonates with people. The other part is it creates a genuine emotional connection to the consumer. So it moves beyond a traditional message and it really makes the audience feel something, whether it's humor or it's driving inspiration or empathy. This is what, for me, a really award winning campaign does. And it really builds on sort of that long term equity for the consumer. Another aspect to this as well is it uses media in a really new way. And so it's just not about placing an ad on a platform, it's utilizing that platform's unique features in a way that's really innovative and that surprises the audience. And it's not also just about new platforms as well, but it also pushing the boundaries on existing traditional platforms too, and doing things that have just honestly never been done before. So I think for me, it's sort of covering those three strategic, I would say, pillars around the way that I look at an award winning campaign. Yeah, I would say there are three key actions that folks should consider. The first one is being able to tell a compelling story. So just don't present the data, right? I think it's important to craft a really clear narrative that frames what it is that you're trying to achieve. Like, what is the business challenge? And then being able to have the key insights that have unlocked that idea and being able to also underpin that in terms of how you were able to bring that to life. So I think that's one, being able to tell a compelling story. Two is prove it with meaningful numbers. And so the idea here is to go beyond those vanity metrics like impressions or likes and really focus on the data that really proves the business value for your campaign. So was that sales lift? Was that market share growth? Was that a measurable shift in perception? So those are really sort of the key business objectives or rather business impact that you should try to really orient your submission on because that's a really telling way of showing that your campaign is really moving the needle for your audience. The third thing is being able to explain the magic clearly. And what I mean by that is that every single campaign has a special spark. And so the thing that you need to do is make sure that you're isolating and highlighting what's that one thing that really sets your campaign apart. And so, was that a groundbreaking use of data? Was that a very brave creative choice? Was that an innovative media placement? Whatever it is, make sure that you're rooted in that and it's very singular in the way that you're sort of telling that story around the magic that you were able to deliver in your campaign. Yeah, I mean, we can be here all day. I have a wish list, but for the sake of time, I'm probably going to focus on two things. I think just taking a step back, I think we certainly have such a big responsibility within the industry. Like consumers, we shape sort of consumer behavior, right? They truly look at us in terms of what's on trend, what are the things that they should be thinking about. And so I think with that, it carries a ton of responsibility for us to really think about what I've been calling sustainable advertising. And so what that means to me is really in twofold. One is environmental sustainability. And so this is about actively working to reduce the carbon footprint in our industry. And so that means being able to optimize the energy consumption that gets used for our digital ad delivery and campaigns, as well as how we think about the physical space as well, being able to minimize the use of physical production and being sort of cognizant of what we use and trying to sort of recycle and upcycle those things as well. The other part is, which I feel like is so dear to my heart is social sustainability as well. So this means ensuring that the work that we're creating is inclusive and that the teams that are also creating that work represent a very diverse world that we live in, right? I think oftentimes we tend to see work that gets developed in a vacuum and the output doesn't necessarily reflect the audience that we're trying to reach because the teams that created it don't reflect the audience that we're trying to reach. And so I think it's so important to have a diverse team of individuals that can offer different perspectives around how we want to be able to go to market. I wasn't part of the Gap campaign at all, but I would say they did a great job of being able to showcase what inclusive marketing looks like by tapping into cat's eye. And my hope is that they also had a very diverse team working on that to bring that to life too. So I think that's such a great example of what I would like to say is like masterclass in social sustainability. So, from my perspective, there are really two key trends that I've observed that I feel like is having a really meaningful impact within the space. The first one is this idea of shoppable everything. And what I mean by that is the barrier between content and commerce is dissolving. And we're starting to see that we're closing the gap between inspiration and purchase as well. So what that means in terms of, actual media activity is that consumers are able to buy directly from social feeds now. We're starting to see sort of like this boom in live commerce as well, where creators are live streaming their outfits and consumers are able to buy that in real time. And that is honestly, it's a new innovation for us that we're starting to really see pick up. And so I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity there for us to be able to explore that and tap into that as that industry starts to evolve. The other part too that is gaining a lot of traction is this idea of AI powered creativity. And so this is, taking AI to the next level. And it's about going beyond the idea of utilizing AI for audience targeting. But what we're now seeing is the use of AI to generate and optimize creative elements in real time. And so this is whether it's, adjusting ad copy, images, or even sort of adjusting videos as well. We're starting to see that being done at a more personal level and that also being done at scale in a way that we've just never been able to do before. And so it definitely offers a lot of opportunities to unlock being able to reach your consumer at the right moment and at the right time with creative that's honestly hyper focused and really relevant to their experience. And so I think it's definitely a game changer within the industry and something that I think we'll all just need to sort of learn and adapt to see how we can best use this in a way that is both thoughtful and also ethical as well.